Okay, let's say I'll decide my top five as we go, but let's say one that definitely isn't in the top five, but is still great. I really loved Neckbeard, Death Camps. White nationalism is for basement dwelling losers, and I picked that entirely so I could say the name.
It's a strong title.
It's in a year of very strong titles. I think of JPEG Mafia's.
I can't fucking wait for Morrissey to die.
Yes, that's a good one.
My thoughts on NeoGAF shutting down, stuff like that.
So this one, it's very memey.
Yes.
Because it's sort of it's a sort of Bandcamp, sort of, I guess, death metal, sort of parody of sort of alt-right sort of ideas and sort of jokes. So it's very jokey and it's a very funny record. But outside of that, it's just brutal, sort of almost grindcore. It makes the Napalm Death fan in me just go, oh, this is good. So, you go for the jokes, and it's just brutal. It's just stripped to the bare bones, just guttural, thrashing, and I love it. It's just great.
And they're like very, very minimalistic in terms of production as well. It sounds swampy as fuck.
It's very swampy. It's very, sounded like it was recorded on a potato, but that's sort of the charm of it, and it's just, break your neck, headbanging, Neckbeard Death Camp. That's my number 10.
Cool. So I've settled on it at the very last minute, but I still feel like I can kind of say concretely that my number 10 is the Haruna album, Haru to Shura. But either way, that's probably just snuck into my top 10 simply for being like so unexpectedly catchy and like fun to listen to, considering like I knew nothing about her. I knew nothing about like that sort of electronica tinged like sort of pop rock that she's got built up. It's like, it's amazing how weird the album gets in places, and like how much of a handle she's got on her vocals. Like, she's really dynamic with how she like uses her voice. And roundly, I was just like, I found myself just coming back to it constantly just because it was a really, really easy listen. And there's something about Japanese vocals. Sort of just the way that she does that sort of staccato, almost like rapping. Like, like just because Japanese breaks down into syllables really easily.
Yeah.
She does this really machine gun delivery sometimes that works really well.
I liked it. Yeah, I listened to it, and it really good. It would have been in, if we were doing a top 20, it would have got there. I really liked it as well. Yeah, it was really great.
Unfortunately, there's not really a whole lot I can talk about for it because it is pretty much just like a really, really enjoyable, solid pop record. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, pop doesn't really demand much more of a thought process out of just genuinely enjoying the sort of production and the overall like sort of feel of the tracks. And like, yeah, I'd say it's really amazingly solid album. But yeah, that's it.
Well, that's cool. I guess similar in terms of sort of dance pop sound. I really liked Oil of Every Petal's Uninsides by Sophie, which was a sort of, it's sort of got a love of J-pop in there.
Okay.
It's a sort of pop ballad, sort of hard electronica record, which is sort of strange because I know you listen to the first track and you weren't into it, and I did the same thing. I listened to the first track, which is a sort of very heartfelt singer-songwritery sort of ballad, and I didn't get it. I was like, what is this? And then a lot of people told me, no, listen to the other tracks, and then you've got these other tracks like track number 2 and 3. It's just like, it sort of goes into this sort of very almost industrial electronica with these sort of almost light bubblegum vocals on the top, and it's just an absolute face melter. It is so. I'm so glad I listened to it, got back into it because it's so good, and the production on it, and in terms of electro pop or something, is so varied, and it just goes in, and it's just such a good record to dance to, I would guess. I mean, I dance now exclusively in the kitchen, doing the dishes. But if I was young again, and I was out in a nightclub and this came on, I would just be there. So yeah, I think in terms of electro pop records, I think it's not been better this year. I think it's great. The other one that I know Sophie did a bit of production on did a feature on a song was Let's Eat Grandma's new album.
Oh yeah.
Which was also really good in terms of sort of electro pop. That's another one to give a shout out to. But yeah, this one, Sophie's new album, I loved it. Yeah, it's great.
Okay. I'm going to keep in the pop vein, actually. Surprisingly, there's been some really solid pop this year with 21 Pilots' Trench.
Okay.
Something I genuinely never thought I'd say, because I was not a 21 Pilots fan at the beginning of the year. And then these singles started coming out. And when Jumpsuit dropped, I was like, holy shit, this is a fucking banger. It's got that nice sort of thumping, like sludgy sounding bass line the whole time. Like, it's just so, it's got such a drive to it, such a like swagger to it almost. That I couldn't help but get into it. I was like, okay, fair enough. They've got one. That's them. They've got their one banger. I bet you the rest of them will be shite. Every single they released from that, Nico and the Niners came out not too long after that. My Blood came out not too long after that.
Yeah.
They were all great. And I was like, oh, they might have actually turned me around. They might have actually made something special here. And then I heard Trench as a whole. And it's got a concept running through it. Again, like some of the albums that keep appearing in my top 10 have these really, really strong concepts, these themes and stuff running through them, because I'm very like into strong lyrical
sort of like
theming.
a world that's been built.
Yeah. If you can do that, if you can manage that, then I appreciate you greatly. It's why I liked Coheed and Cambria for so long, because they spent time building these worlds, having all these sort of lyrical themes running through all their songs. They had characters, they had settings.
Yes, yeah.
Tyler Joseph is like the main guy. His voice is like really, really, really solid. He's a very, very good singer. He's got a lot of range. But then in Levitate, he actually raps.
Oh, right,
and it's
okay.
actually really, really good flow.
All right.
Like, he's got this amazing flow. He's got like, again, he hits these staccato beats really, really well, where he like he breaks all his words like down perfectly and like builds it into this track that's like really, really stripped back as well, because again, it's just the two of them. So that whole track basically boils down to like bass line, like synth bass thing with like just this really nice clean hi-hat snare combo. Just really, really simple, really clean. Like little rap track that's like a minute and a half long. Levitate's really short, and it's just a perfect little rap track.
Yeah.
But he's the whitest guy ever. Like, Tyler Joseph's like the whitest kid ever. Like, half of 21 Pilots' old oeuvre is like fucking ukulele based.
Oh, right, okay.
Like, they're the whitest kids imaginable, but they've came out with this fucking rap banger on this album, and like there's some other amazing tracks. Like My Blood is like a straight up like R&B track.
All right,
it's so good. There's like there's a varied production level in it as well, where like again it opens with Jumpsuit and it's got this really driving like almost like punk rhythm to it. Right. And then it immediately segues into things like Levitate and My Blood, where it's like changes tack constantly. So yeah, I'd absolutely push Trench, even if you don't think you could ever get any 21 Pilots, because it's just a really, really solid album.
Okay, no, I'll maybe give it a little listen then. My number 8, I would say, was the new. It doesn't really count as an album; it's a bit of a cheat, but I think the new Aphex Twin EP Collapse was the best stuff he's done in a while. I liked Cyro. the last full-length album a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But this is weird. Even by Aphex Twin standards, this is sort of very glitchy, and you can almost hear the sort of trap beats almost in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you sort of can, because the thing with Aphex Twin Records is you don't know whether he's made this in the last 18 years. At what point? You know, he's clearly, he lives in his vault in Elephant and Castle with his tank, and he's clearly been making music every day of his life since 1985. So you don't know whether there's a track that's been released, you know, he made 18 years ago or whatever, but I don't know where these date from. They don't really sound like, there's not really a point where you can go, well, this is definitely Aphex Twin from, you know, I Care or the Richard D. James album. But this is like a real return to form. It's as varied and as strange as you want an Aphex Twin record. And, you know, maybe if you've not heard Aphex Twin, you just, you know, it's all beep, 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 you know, bleep, whatever. But if you've got a tuned ear to it, you can sort of hear like, oh, now he's bringing in an 808, now he's bringing in it. So it's varied enough for the diehards of Aphex Twin lore that you know that oh, this is a good one. This is really... So it's only, 5 tracks long because it's an EP.
Yeah.
And yes, it's not an album proper, but it's just great.
I've had a very, very sudden and inexplicable change of heart from a number 8. Because I think as good as the one that was going to be in my number 8 spot is, the one I'm going to substitute it with is even better, but unfortunately it's like super cheating because, like, I mean, you've said an EP is cheating slightly.
Yeah.
This is really, really cheating because this isn't an album from 2018. It's an album from 2017.
Okay.
And the only reason it's not number 1 again is because it's from 2017. I feel it deserves a look in my top 10 again because I didn't really think to make a music rundown last year on the channel, but now I am, and I feel like I need to talk about it because it's a fucking superb album, and it's everything's fever dream.
Okay.
To be fair,
from 2017.
From 2007, it's 2017's everything's fever dream.
Okay.
Considering the fact that, again, I'm going to make excuses for myself, it came out not right at the end of the year, it was out in August, but it came out late enough in 2017 that maybe a lot of people might not have noticed that it had came out.
Okay.
Maybe some people are only finding it now. And for me, I listened to it when it came out and I loved it. And then I continued to love it until the end of that year. And then when 2018 came and there was all this great music to listen to, I found that I was still listening to Fever Dream. I don't think anyone's going to give me shit for saying anything, really, because end of the year lists are incredibly arbitrary as it is.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of the ones that I think is like, maybe a lot of people don't really know who Everything are.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't know that Fever Dream might be one of the best, like, sort of pop electro albums ever made. Because it's all dealing with, like, sort of heavy topics again. It's sort of dealing with that stuff that I really, really like. For example, the first track on Fever Dream is called The Night of the Long Knives, which if you know... if you know anything about World War II... All you
Neckbeard folks, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, all you aspiring neo-SS officers out there, you'll know exactly what The Night of the Long Knives was. And the fact that the fact that Everything are using it is clearly a reference to, like, political campaigns and existing sort of political parties perhaps dealing with their opponents and anyone who dares to perhaps question their methods in any way possible, because The Night of the Long Knives was a culling, and that's we're not too far from political culling at this point in the West.
Yes, it's getting very 1930s at the moment.
So that just goes to show you how deep Fever Dream goes sometimes. It's got some straight up just daft pop bangers on it, like Desire and Can't Do, but it's also got some heavy shit in it as well, like Ivory Tower.
Yeah.
And Night of the Long Knives.
That sounds interesting.
I think maybe, Good Shot, Good Soldier.
Okay.
So anyway, I'll stop talking about it because technically I shouldn't have talked about it in the first place. But it's a phenomenal album, and if you like pop music in general, you should fucking check it out because it's maybe one of the best.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I guess my number 7 is 1986's Rain in Blood by Slayer. My number... No, it's number 7.
Yeah,
Christ, this Newcastle Brown Ale's acting on me. So my number 7 would be my jazz record of the year. Sons of Kemet, Your Queen is a Reptile.
That's a great title.
They're a British group, and then every track is My Queen is Harriet Tubman, or My Queen is, so it's all sort of figures of sort of empowerment in sort of black culture, I guess. And it's just fucking great record. It's basically, the group is made up of a saxophonist, 2 drummers, and a tuba player.
Okay.
So it's all rhythm, and it's just the pace on it is unbelievable. It just fires through. The tracks are all 5-6 minutes long, but it feels like you're listening to like a sort of club banger record. It's like the tracks should be half the time, and it's just packed so much in. It's really good. It's like a nice sweaty jazz record. It's just like you could imagine dancing your absolute tits off to this. It is insane. The musicianship on it's great, and yeah, I just love it. It's the jazz record of the year for me. I really liked Kamasi Washington's Heaven and Earth, but some of the singing on that I thought was a bit pish. But this is great. So if I would say, I would highly recommend it. It's looking at my list now, it's at 7. If I slept on it, it could be in the top 5.
Yeah, my number 7 is Daughters, You Won't Get What You Want. And
good record.
Yeah, I don't think it's a surprise to many people that it's this high up, and that it probably should actually be higher. Except that there's some other stuff on my list that I loved a hell of a lot more, and that's really saying something because this album's a blinder.
Yeah.
It's probably the heaviest thing. I mean, like in amongst things like Behemoth and Neckbeard Death Camp.
Oh, it's a terrifying record.
Yeah,
it's
weirdly,
really...
this is fucking doomy. This is like doom metal stuff. Some of the current that runs under it is like doom ambient. It like sort of undercurrent to like this really, really brutally heavy punk record, and it's amazing. It's abrasive. It's hard to listen to.
It is a difficult listen
because it's screechy as well for all the bass, and like for all this like tremendous thundering drums. This like tribal militaristic feel for a lot of the tracks, like fucking thundering percussion. In between that, you get these hideous screeching guitars, these wailing, screeching, sawtooth wave guitars that are like, it will turn people away. It's a hard listen in places. It's brutal and angular and hard and complicated and great. And that's pretty much all I really have to say about it.
And you can hear more about that record in my list. So yeah, I suppose I'm at a similar position to you. This is now my number 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't speak much about this because I guess it might be further up your list. But I think Year of the Snitch by Death Grips. Really good record. It's strange, even by Death Grip standards.
Oh yeah.
It's, how would you describe this record? I think if you're into the money store, it's not got as hard as Death Grips are and as abrasive as they are. There's a sort of classic poppy melody. So stuff like, you know, I've seen footage would work.
It's like a straight up hip hop banger.
Yeah.
When you strip the noise away. Yeah.
It would work as a sort of teenage disco sort of song. But this album is strange and off-putting. And I know lots of Death Grips fans that it's really split them down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It's, for me, I love it. It's not as good as Bottomless Pit. Whatever they put out, it's worth a listen.
Oh yeah.
It's always interesting, and it sort of takes their sound into places that maybe you're not necessarily expecting as a Death Grips fan. It's not an immediately rewarding, not rewarding, but it's not immediately sort of like pleasing, like something like a Bottomless Pit or Money Store.
I can see where you're getting at there.
But once you've sort of got accustomed to, right, here's what we're going to do with this record, it's really good. It's sort of so strange that it needs to be sort of talked about and said, well, this is a record that is really trying something different and interesting. Maybe some of those little experiments don't work for some people, and some of it doesn't work for me as much as some other folk. But it's still amazing enough that it's got to be. I mean, any Death Grips, it's got to be in the top 10 of the year.
Oh yeah.
So that's at number 6. It's just missing the top 5, but you know, it's great. It's really good.
Number 6 for me isn't. I feel bad about actually placing it not higher because it's a very, very, very good metal album, and in a year of like where it's genuinely difficult to say that metal outstripped anything else.
Yeah,
I'd say I kind of feel bad about not placing it just a teeny bit higher, but it's Rollo Tomasi's "Time Will Die and Love Will Bury It."
I never heard that actually.
I've been a big Rollo Tomasi fan for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And it's been harder of late for it to feel like they're kind of standing out anymore from their own. Like from their own repertoire, it sort of feels like they found a groove, unfortunately, in like the last couple of releases, but the last release they did, Grievances, was just, it wasn't all there. There was some great fucking tracks on Grievances, but it just wasn't good enough.
Okay.
It was good, but it wasn't good enough. It didn't feel complete. Like in the way that Cosmology does. And you know what? It's actually, there's something kind of beautiful about this album in the way that Cosmology and Astria kind of like went down this route of something a bit floatier. Like Hysterics is loud. It's loud and abrasive and chaotic and fun.
So it
has little moments where it goes a little bit ambient, but for the most part it's dedicated to its big fucking synth organ spikes and like its big fucking banging arrhythmic guitars and stuff like that. That's what Hysterics is. Cosmology and Astria.
And they bring a sort of more...
Yeah, it's a bit spacier.
Sort of vocals and a sort of... Yeah.
They get a bit more involved with like having a bit of downtime and adding some dynamic range.
Right.
This album creates scale like nothing they've done since probably Cosmology. Like Grievances has those moments, but nothing close and nothing consistent enough.
I'm interested.
From second one on this album to the very end of this album, it feels complete and perfect and loud and fucking really, really heavy in places and in the way that you love from Rollo Tomasi. Her vocals are still killer. Can't recommend it enough because it is a very, very strong metal record for what is very, very slim pickings these days in the math metal world, I'd say, like for stuff that genuinely stands out. Just fucking brilliant. So,
I'll give that a listen then. My number 5, and I'm going to get the pronunciation of this totally wrong. This is a band called Kuran Bin.
Okay.
And the album's called Con Todo El Mundo. So this is a group that comes out of Texas, and they've got a sort of Thai influence there.
Right.
So the best way to describe this album would be it's sort of stoner desert rock. Side note, the new Sleep record, The Sciences, that was really good. But it's got a sort of Thai sort of vibe over the top of it. So it's got a sort of East Asian sort of flavour to the music. And it's pretty much a funk record.
Okay.
It's mostly instrumental. It's sort of got this really heavy groove to it that really stuck with me, and it's just so sort of funky and rhythmically interesting. There's lots of changes in terms of the tempo, and it sort of gets heavy, and then it gets very sort of spacey and stonery, and so yeah, it's got these incredible hooks that just get you, and you're just like, you know, listening to the album, you imagine yourself out in the desert, looking up at the stars, and just like this wall of music just washing over you, and it just really got me.
Okay.
My brother discovered them on like Bandcamp or something.
Okay.
And he said, give this a listen. And sometimes with my brother's music, I go, okay. But fair enough. It was great. It's really... So yeah, there's not much else I can say about it. It's sort of in the realm of, I guess, something like Rollo Tomasi, not in terms of sound, but in terms of it's more the dynamics and the changes in the sound that really hook you. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's great.
I'm going to be coming at you with my number 5.
Okay.
It's significantly less complicated.
Okay.
Significantly less, I'd say, like, awe-inspiring, and, like, kind of... There's no depth here, I'd say. It's just straight up an incredibly good rock album. A lot of people were astoundingly negative about this album. It really bugs me. It was Interpol's Marauder.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't get where the complaints are coming from here, because a lot of the reviews that I looked at post-release were absolutely bagging on the fact that the production was bad, the vocals were buried in amongst the bass and the drums, it was buried low in the mix, like it was too, like Paul Banks has such good vocals, why would you want him like bury them under things? Have you ever listened to an Interpol record? They're always like that. Like, that's the thing I've always noticed about Interpol. Interpol is like it's always about the complete package. It's never solely about his vocals. It's never solely about the lyrics. It's always about the complete entity of every song.
Yes, yeah.
And some of the albums aren't great. Like, I'm not going to come out and say like Our Love to Admire is a solid album. It's got some great tracks on it, but it's not a great album. And I'm not going to say that like El Pintor or the self-titled were good. Again, great tracks on El Pintor, especially, and the self-titled one was fucking garbage. But
yeah, that wasn't the best.
It was really mediocre. But again, the through line for all of them is that his vocals are never front and center. They're a part of a bigger puzzle. They're just a piece of a bigger puzzle.
No, I get that.
And for me, Marauder doesn't de-emphasize his vocals at all any more than the other ones do. And the drums are more... I would say the drums are a little bit more front and center, and that's a positive thing as far as I'm concerned, because there's nothing I love more than nice rumbly bass.
Okay, yeah.
And pounding, driving, like hi-hat and snare-based drums, like krautrock style drums. And that's pretty much how I feel about Marauder. Every track feels so complete. On Marauder, it just feels like they're going for it. Like, it just feels constant, and I really, really like that about it. Like, even when they do slow it down a little bit, it never feels like they get too far away from like it being all about the rhythm. It's all about the rhythm section. It's all about like the bass and the drums. And it might be because they lost a member and Paul Banks ended up playing the bass. It might be that he's emphasising the bass because that's kind of what he was playing for a long time. Like when they were a 3-piece, I think they might have got another member in, maybe, I don't know. But like some of the standout tracks, like the opening track, If You Really Love Nothing, it's a classic Interpol track. It's like something off of the debut album, Turn on the Bright Lights. I would say Marauder is as close as they've ever gotten to recreating Turn on the Bright Lights.
Okay. And that's interesting.
As someone who I know you like Turn on the Bright Lights, it's like one of the ones that I know you actually liked, because you didn't even really like Antics much, did you?
No, I did like Antics.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I liked Turn on the Bright Lights. Antics was good. It's got that sort of post-punky, like we've listened to Gang of Four.
Yeah. It's got that sort of vibe back.
Okay, cool.
It's
all right,
more, it's not got those big fucking like sweeping pianos or synths or anything like that, like they tried to bring in the self-titled album.
Yeah, because that's sort of where I turned off a little. I was sort of...
Aye.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. Like, they kind of lost their way a little bit, but Marauder, anyone who listened to The Rover, if you've listened to any of the singles, you know that this album is a massive return to form for them compared to some of their other stuff. So I would highly recommend it for anyone who's just a fan of good indie rock, because indie rock's so fucking hard to find these days. Any good stuff is really hard to find these days.
Yeah.
And I think Interpol have finally cracked their old formula again.
Okay.
And made something genuinely worth listening to. So give it a go, for fuck's sake, and ignore all this fucking moaning about all this bad mixing, because it's the same as every other bastard album.
My number 4, and it's a late entry in terms of when they were released, but I've been listening to it pretty solidly, and it's shot way up, is the new Aero Sweatshop, some rap songs.
Okay.
It's been a good year for experimental and sort of left field hip hop.
Certainly has.
Outside of this, you had Hermit and the Recluse, Orpheus versus the Sirens, which is a sort of retelling of sort of Greek myth through sort of really quite interesting hip hop beats.
Okay.
Outside of that, you had another one that would have probably is at number 11 for me is JPEG Mafia's Veteran.
Oh yeah, very solid.
So good.
Yeah.
In fact, it could make the top 10 when I sleep on this.
Yeah. And that's the thing about these sort of things.
Yeah,
we
are
sort
of totally arbitrary. Yeah. It's how I feel on the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been a good year for hip hop. But this one, the album must be about 25 minutes, 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
And each song typically tops about a minute, 30, something like that. And the production on it is so unusual, and you sort of felt on the last Aero Sweatshop record that he was sort of going for this minimalist sort of vibe.
Yeah, you got a real dark ambient vibe. I don't like shit,
I don't go outside or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But with this one, he sort of stripped it way back.
It sounds like tape loops to me.
Yeah, and it's sort of almost Aphex Twin-ish or Square Pusher, and it's sort of and when you're hearing hip hop over the top of this, it sort of gets you excited as a hip hop head again. You're sort of like, oh, this is really strange. Yeah. This is sort of taking it into places it doesn't usually go. The lyrics on it, they're sort of very dark and they're very personal. I think it's probably his most personal record. But there's something about it that's sort of, even on the instrumental tracks, there's a track, that ends with a sample of his uncle, who's I can't remember now, but South African sort of jazz musician that died this year. It's sort of almost uncomfortable, some of it. Sort of, it's a look into his sort of headscape or how his thought processes at the time of making the record, and it's some of the lyrics are a little, you sort of start to worry a little bit for him.
Yeah.
But outside of that, and that's really sort of quite fascinating as well. I just think the production on it is the best he's ever done.
Okay.
And in terms of experimental hip hop this year, this is the one that really got me. And I think he's really... It's sort of interesting, the change that you've seen in him since the sort of Odd Future days.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Like Doris feels a long way away now.
It does feel a long time ago, and this is just a totally weird, sort of quite intimate record that I just begs you to re-listen to it again, just because it's so sort of layered, the beats in it, and the production, that you sort of, it's a lot of weird tape looks, like you're saying, and it feels like you're almost missing stuff in the mix. So you sort of need to keep going back to it and going, I've heard that now. And the samples are buried deep within a sort of almost cacophonous, but it's not a noisy record. So it's sort of strange. It's not like abrasive like a Death Grips record, but it's got the same sort of ear for sort of experimentation or
I feel like I need to add a little as well, because I feel like I've kind of neglected that album, because it is a very, very good album.
It's very recent.
And it didn't even make it. It didn't make it close to my top 10 because I didn't feel like I'd given it enough time. Because it is so complex and there is so much to it that I don't really feel like I didn't give it the time it deserved, basically. And you're right, it's like it's added this. It's added to the ongoing nature of the ever-growing complexity in rap and in hip-hop. It actually is part of this shift towards emotion and sincerity in hip-hop, which is very bizarre, which, again, is actually kind of taken in the same vein as like Tyler's shift towards being more sincere on, Flower Boy. You start to realise that the cynicism and the goofiness and stuff like that of Odd Future and of Tyler in his older days and stuff like that. It was all well and good, and it was a lot of fun to listen to, and some of the tracks are fucking class.
It's very punky and
sort of trying to be in your face and stuff like that. But it sort of stopped being about that, and it actually started being about whether or not they actually felt accomplished as artists. And now it feels like they're really coming into their own. Like Aero Sweatshirt has made, like, I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside is a miserable album. And this album,
sort of almost like Lou Reed made a rap album. It's
it feels absolutely like a sort of just an existential contemplation with nothing to distract you from it. Basically, there's nothing else to that album. It's skeletal. Whereas like this one feels, it feels like it's a massive, like it's like a diving pool. There's something that there is a depth to it.
There's something going on under the surface with this record that.
And you do
I've
worry
not cracked yet.
Yeah, you do worry about him.
It's sort of
well.
like interesting.
I think he could be like, he's 3 for 3 at this point on great albums.
Although it came out at the end of the year, I think it'll grow in stature as time goes past. I think it's really interesting and really a great record as well. So yeah.
So my number 4 is also a hip hop record.
Okay.
And it's one we've talked about before on the list already. And it's Death Grips' Year of the Snitch.
Yay!
Because it's a very, 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 very good album. And it's a very good Death Grips album. But it's not their best.
Yeah.
And it is conflicted and weird in all the right ways. It's a very, very interesting record to listen to because you never quite know where it's going to go next. It's messy. As hard as their music was to listen to before, as like complex as people might perceive it, there's complexity in it, but now they've went fucking even further out into the left field with like this bizarre like mashup of all these different like styles that they've tried to incorporate in this one record alone. Like all of a sudden everything came out. You
look at the record and you think it's got sort of things like Streaky, which you almost think is like MC Ride's piss take on trap music.
Yeah, that it really feels like that. Sorta, it feels tongue in cheek the way that it's delivered. It's so weird.
And then
genuinely, I was humming. I was saying it to you earlier. I'm humming and hawing right now as to whether or not it's my number 3, because my number 3 and my number 4, I kind of love
interchangeable
equally.
Sort of.
But they're like for completely different reasons. My number 3 is so solid that I kind of feel like I owe it to give it the number 3 position. But then again, it's arbitrary. But
and then there's like I'll fully admit when the singles came out, I was taken aback. Like Black Paint was great.
Yeah.
But Flies and Streaky.
Flies was a weird one. Streaky grabbed me right away. For some reason, people were down on Streaky, but I thought it was so much of like it had that pop edge where it just felt. Yeah. It felt constant.
I liked it, but I was like, what is this?
It's shallow compared to what they've made before. But it's a very shallow song, but it's great fun.
But the turning point with me was, I mean, I thought they were good.
Yeah.
But then when they released Ha Ha Ha,
yeah,
which is the most insane song of the year. That's just, will they sample themselves from ex-military and... It's just so... It's like 6 songs pushed together. It is so insane that I was just like, this is great. This is a work of art. This is so good.
And Dilemma that features a vocal sample from the fucking director of Shrek.
Well, you sort of felt on this record that they sort of were like, let's go really into meme culture and let's go really into internet music or internet culture.
Yeah.
Where it's sort of, it's almost like they reverse engineered the track so that they could have an article in Pitchfork saying Death Grips do a song with the director of Shrek.
Yeah.
You know,
it's the fact that it opens, as you're completely right about the fact that it's way more self-aware than they've ever been, and that's saying something for a band like Death Grips.
Yeah,
it opens with Death Grips are online.
Yes, which is the famous tweet.
Yeah, it's like that's it. It's like you've hit the nail on the head. They're very much an online band. They're very online.
Yeah,
and then the fucking album ends with a song called Disappointed. Who would have thought for them to make an album like this and for a genuinely actually disappoint a lot of their fans and then call them out at the end?
Yeah,
of the end of the album, just to be like that. You probably are disappointed. Let's make a song about it. Like
it's
that is so
good.
Death Grips. This is the Renaissance.
Yeah, this is a sort of like rap Renaissance. Like everybody goes, the golden era was 86 to 94, something like that.
Aye.
Covers, Boogie Down Productions, Fruit and Nas, Beastie Boys, whatever.
Yeah,
all the classics, and that is the gold standard. Mm-hmm. But Death Grips are at the front of really pushing it into strange sort of places where you could say, well, this is a renaissance. And as much as it's not our place to say the modern pop rap isn't any good, because we don't listen to it, we don't know it.
It's not meant for us.
It's not meant for us.
You might want Tekashi 6ix9ine. But you shouldn't.
I mean that's entirely up to
you shouldn't
yourself.
Because the guy's a fucking dirty, right? He's a
dirty
nonce.
He's a dirty nonce.
He's gonna get a nonce bashing in the jail.
Stairwell nonce bashing.
He's gonna become a roboplegic wrong cock.
That's what hip hop needs right now. It needs more Chris Morris samples.
How come no one's ever thought to do that? An entire concept album based around like the day-to-day in Brass Eye and Jam.
That would be good.
Jam especially, because Jam feels like a fucking sort of experimental hip-hop album
itself. Jam's like a fucking Death Grips album.
Let's just leave it at let's leave it at Year of the Snitch is perhaps should have been higher on both of our lists.
Yeah, maybe.
It's genuinely a very, very, very good Death Grips album. Yeah. But there are other things that are better this year, unfortunately. So
yeah.
What's your number 3?
Oh, you got very internet there. So my number 3 would be Deafheaven, Ordinary Corrupt Human Love.
Okay.
Which I know some of the metalhead purists were not into, because it sort of goes into sort of shoegazy territory and almost sort of surfer rock, sort of Beach Boys sort of areas. But I just thought it was great. I loved Sunbather. Who doesn't? It's good.
It's such a good album.
And a lot of people would say that it isn't as good as Sunbather. I, including yourself.
That's my problem. Unfortunately, they had to face themselves in the past.
But I think it is as good.
Okay.
You sort of have to take them both as two separate records. You miss out the one in the middle because everybody does. And
I genuinely don't even remember the name of it.
What was that called? New Bermuda? Or was that an earlier one?
That sounds right. I think you're right.
Is that right? It was shite. So it sort of goes into these areas of, like Teenage Fan Club or Low or something like that.
Yeah.
And you sort of go like, this shouldn't work whatsoever. And then there's something about the changes in terms of the tempos and his vocals that just, as varied as the music is, his vocals remain very much black metal, sort of screeching.
Yeah.
But there's something about the softness of the music at occasions and the gentleness of the music that when it really hits hard, it really hits hard.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have a little la 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 la, and you're like, oh, this is nice, and then it'll suddenly start shredding, and his vocals will come in, and you're just like, this is fucking yes, come on now. This is my metal album of the year, and I know it turned a lot of people off because of that strangeness to it, but I saw them live this year, and it is almost a sort of out-of-body experience. The music takes you to places sometimes. I don't know. It's a very personal choice, and some people were really turned off by it, but I thought it was great.
Here comes my third record of the year.
It could have been fourth.
It could have been fourth because the more I think about Year of the Snitch, the more I love it.
But the more you talk about this one, the more you'll think you love it.
Definitely, because it's in this vein of getting in and getting out, because that is what everyone should be doing. Don't take up more of my time than you need to. Don't
do a 90-minute album these days.
Fuck me,
We've got Spotify.
Exactly.
Give us a 40-minute album at most. 20 minutes is preferable.
And this can be extrapolated to everything.
Yeah.
See these people fucking making cowboy games that are 40 hours long? See if it was fucking 6 hours long and play it. But I'm not going to, because it's open world and it's wasting my time.
Exactly.
See all these people that make fucking 2.5 hour long Transformers movies, make it 90 minutes and I might want to sit through your shite.
Yeah, it's like the biggest grossing film of the year was what? Infinity War or something.
Aye.
It was at least 2 hours too long. It was, come on, give us a fucking 90-minute movie.
Yeah, please, come on.
Brevity is the soul of wit.
Exactly. You can shave every movie. Well, maybe not every movie, but you can shave most movies down to 100 minutes.
Yeah.
Pretty much. There's an exercise in fucking self-indulgent shit going on these days.
Yeah.
Everyone is so trapped in this belief that the more is better. The more you get, it's better value for money, but fuck yous, listen to Kids See Ghosts.
Oh, it's great.
Because it's so good.
It's so good.
It gets in, it gets out in 20 fucking minutes. It's like
7 tracks.
It's like listening to a grindcore album, but instead it's super mellow, brilliant hip hop. Again, because it's only 7 tracks and because it is only 20 minutes, it's absolutely perfect. Like, there's not a bad track on it.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard for it to make a bad track in amongst 7 tracks. It's effectively an EP, but it's not. It's like, it feels like a full, complete thing when you listen to it. It's not like a half-baked attempt at making something. It's not like stuff that hit a cutting room floor during a Kid Cudi recording session. It's Kid Cudi and Kanye West, as I've written here, an idiot and a maniac, combining forces to make a perfect hip hop record.
Yeah,
exactly. Who is what there? Because quite frankly, they could both be it.
Yeah,
they're both idiots. They're both maniacs. I don't really like Kanye West as a person, and I don't like anything Kid Cudi's made.
And it's a record that can only be made by an idiot and a maniac.
Oh yeah,
like there's stuff in it that you could take out of context and you go, this is fucking ridiculous. like I feel free.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Any of this wouldn't work outside of what it is.
It's two pals enabling each other
to
make something that they want to make.
Yeah.
It's only what they wanted to make. If it wasn't for the fact that they're two very, very famous fucking rappers, this probably wouldn't have shifted any units, because this isn't the kind of thing that people actually want to listen to, because it's good. Ye's great. Daytona's great.
Daytona's really great.
What's the one with Nas? What was that
The
one?
Nas one wasn't as good, I didn't think, but there was some really solid bangers on it. I don't remember what it was called.
Was that an official collab, or was that like...
I think he was just doing the production.
Okay. I wasn't too sure what his role in Daytona was, because I know he's featured on one track very explicitly.
I think mostly he did the production for a lot of the records.
Either way, it felt like everything he touched on to gold this year, though.
Yeah. I thought they were very good, and you know, he's an interesting character.
Yep.
Personality. And sometimes you just go, shut the fuck up, mate. but then he releases these albums that you just go, as much as I hate you as a person, you have this demented brilliance to you that can just, you know what to do well.
Yeah.
And you can do it when you're stripped down to 7 songs. My next choice, my number 2, I won't do too much talking about because I know it may be featured on you as well.
Yeah.
So I'll just say the name and we'll go on to your number 2. So it's Idol's Joy as an Act of Resistance. It's a good record.
Yep.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is God's Favourite Customer by Father John Misty.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm not gonna fuck about just now, because I do actually just I want to hear your record of the year, and also want to talk about Joy as an Act of Resistance. God's
Which
Favourite
has number 1 of the year.
Yes, in case you haven't guessed by now, in case you haven't put those pieces together. God's Favourite Customer is an incredibly intense journey through Josh Tillman's breakdown.
Yeah.
The whole record is based around him talking about himself going on like a weird like songwriting excursion / drug fueled bender, drug and alcohol fueled bender in a hotel room. What makes Father John Misty so good is his lyricism and this ability to turn a phrase and this ability to really give you an insight into what he's feeling and what he's thinking, and to be able to make you laugh in a sort of wry, bittersweet way.
Yeah,
because a lot of these songs,
it's very melancholic and
but you can tell that there's a biting, acerbic wit. I know a lot of people said that this album was a step down from Pure Comedy.
Yeah.
Pure Comedy was a very, very, very good album.
Yeah.
Very good. It dealt with a lot of bigger topics though, whereas this one deals exclusively with how he feels.
Right.
And his relationship with his wife, how his narcissism and his how his onstage presence, this persona of Father John Misty, how it affects their relationship. And what he thinks of himself, what he thinks of her, what she might think of him, because there's a lot of songs written kind of from her point of view. Like sort of especially the song Please Don't Die, which very sunny topics being dealt with here, about her being like him looking from her point of view at how worried she is about his mental state and about like where this weird hotel excursion has led him, and where it might be leading him. Like loads and loads of really brilliant in-depth looks into what this guy's thought processes are, and put to very, very beautiful instrumentation. Like there's not one track on it that I'd say is like, this feels phoned in. Let's not piss about too much on it, because I will just say that it made me feel feelings, and that's a very good thing for music for me, because that's all I care about now, is whether or not something can
You've
actually
got
make
to be
me feel
sincere.
something.
I think that's once you get through your teenage years of this sort of wall of sneer and
cold indifference,
and sort of sarcasm. When you sort of reach your late 20s or your 30s, you're just like, just tell me something that you think. Just be honest with me.
I want to see someone's worldview, because it's very different from my own. Obviously, he's like a rich white guy. It can't be that hard for him. But he's got issues that I feel I can relate to. And he does it in such an eloquent and beautiful way that I kind of feel, this is very, very nice, and I might feel fucking miserable after listening to the album, because it is a bit a bit depressing, but it's fucking brilliant in how it's articulated and how it's performed. So
it is a really good record.
Moving along to your all-time number one record for 2018.
All-time number one record of 2018, Daughters, which I think was your number 6? 7.
Yes.
Daughters with You Won't Get What You Want. This is a sort of noise rock, sometimes almost post-rock album, and I don't think there's been an album that has been more punishing and difficult to listen to. I don't mean that it's unlistenable. It's very musical and it's very well made. Mm-hmm. You know, if you like your noise rock and you like your heavy metal and you like your abrasive sounds, this just gets your blood going. This is a fucking amazing record. It's like somebody has grabbed your head and just screamed into it for an hour. Listen to this. It's truly terrifying. It's a really frightening record, but if it was just frightening, it would just be like a sort of curiosity, like, oh, it's just a scary record.
Yeah.
But it's thoughtful and the musicianship on it is so good. It's pummeling. The guitars wail on it. The screaming vocals are deathly. It is.
Yeah, he's got that sort of cold.
Yeah, like
sort of distant, like Nick Cave-ish
kind
of
sound
you were saying
to his vocals. When we were off microphones, it's sort of very Nick Cave-ish. And there's just something about it. There's the song. There's this song on it. I knew it was like the first two songs are great, and then by the third song, Satan in the White, it takes you on so many different routes in terms of musicality and the rest of it. That is like this is putting me through the fucking ringer. This album, it's just so good. It's for the longest time this year, it would have been something like Death Grips, or it would have been something like maybe Deafheaven, or what was my number 2? It was Idols. But this record, in terms of just putting you through it, and just like, you need to listen to this. This is gonna absolutely kick the fucking shit out of you. It is that good. It's that frightening. It's that heavy. It's that emotionally raw in terms of some of the content. Like where he's screaming, "Let me in, let me in." That you just like, this is going to stick with me, this album.
Yeah.
Maybe on another day it would be replaced, but nothing has really hit me round the head like this record has, so that's why it's my number one. Yeah. So what was your number one, John?
In case people haven't guessed it yet, it's Idols. Joy is an act of resistance. And the reason why is it's sort of in the same vein as you, where like the record kind of hit me in a very, very visceral way, but it wasn't in such a subtle way. Like there's not a lot of subtlety in this album, but that's a good thing for it, because it's wearing its heart on its sleeve. The reason why I like this album, why I like God's Favourite Customer so much, is because it's an outpouring of like a person's value system. It's an outpouring of someone's like sort of emotional like state in its sort of current form. Like it's everything that I look for in terms of great lyricism, because there's a lot of wit in it, there's a lot of humour, but there is also like this sort of bittersweet sincerity, this element of like stripping all this sort of nonsense, like this indifference, this cynicism away, and just talking about stuff like unfortunately he deals with topics like losing his unborn daughter.
Oh god, it is the most heartbreaking song on the record, and it's not
a pleasant experience. Parts like that of the album would make you think that it's heavier than it actually is, but
it's got a lightness of touch.
Yeah, definitely. Like there is an element of optimism and joy running throughout. It's in the title. Joy is an act of resistance. It's them ultimately trying to look at things from a more positive point of view, because there's even things like Great, the song Great.
Yes, yeah.
Where they're talking about Blighty and wanting their country back and stuff like that. They're making fun of the gammons out there that are wanting bendy bananas back.
Yes,
and they want the blue passports, and they want all the immigrants all to go. But ultimately, at the end of both verses and at the end of the choruses and stuff like that, ultimately it's meant to be as a message of like, you're deriding them, you're making fun of them and stuff like that, but you hope that eventually you can come to a mutual understanding, because it's all about unity. Because the song Rottweiler literally ends with them screaming unity. And if you know Brutalism, the album they did before it,
oh, listen to that.
Yeah,
album.
If you know it, then you know their stance on stuff, because it's very, very obvious from tracks like Mother and stuff like that what their stance is and like what their beliefs are, and like their weird sort of off-kilter like humorous spin on everything.
Yes, yeah.
It's very much present in Joy as an act of resistance, but it feels more, Brutalism's heavier and like maybe more enjoyable to listen to. But Joy as an act of resistance is more developed.
I think
and it feels more mature as an album.
So.
I know there are other more musically accomplished albums. There are other more complex albums out there. There are maybe more accessible albums, because I know there are like people.
But is there more joyful albums?
Exactly. Like people would get turned away by like all these like gravelly like sort of not screamed but like shouted vocals. But the thing is, when you take your ear away from that and you actually listen to what he's saying and like how he's saying it, and like the amazing like poppy licks that they've got built into all these songs, they are absolutely, it's not brutal, but it is aggressive. It's an aggressive punk album with a lot of heart and a lot of warmth and a lot of compassion, and that's what we need. I
think so. I really do think so.
So that was it. That was our top 10 of the year. I hope you go and listen to the albums, because they're all very, very good. If you've already listened to them, well done. You're as smart as we are.